very long, tall country, you know. You had to go a very long way up to the nose and coming back next morning, maybe after work. So it was a bit rough, but I was very happy to be able to play and work with music. That was my big goal in my life. So I could manage.
Excellent. So it was interesting to know your roots as well. I mean, what would be your main sort of musical influences, would you say, over the years, sort of male and female?
Well, of course, like I mentioned about jazz, there was people like Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, and many Miles Davis, many others. That was the main influence in the beginning. But then I started to listen to all kinds of, even other guys like Earl Bostic, you know, this alto saxophone, I also liked very much. So then I was happy enough to get involved in the studio business in the 70s. And it was a very good place to be, actually, for a freelance musician in Stockholm in the 70s. There was a lot of musical activity going on in the studio, like recordings, of course, TV recordings, radio, theater work, shows. So I was very busy at that time.
Yeah. And then that sort of led you on to your involvement with Bjorn and Benny. So how did it happen?
It happened like, I had a phone call one morning. I happened to be at home and answered the phone. That was in 1975. And it was Bjorn Ulvaeus called me and said, "Hey Ulf, we are working on a new song here in Metronome Studio. All we need is to add some saxophone on this song. And if you're free on this Sunday morning, please come here and we can work it out. We saved some tracks for you to add it on this song." So this is the one that we recorded in 1975 in Metronome Studio. Yeah. Sing it, you know it. And so on, you know it. Thank you.
How about that?
Many times after that, I've been thinking, what could have happened if I wasn't there answering the phone? Maybe I was in toilet or having a shower or something. This phone call could have gone to some other saxophone player, you know. There were several, at least a few, who could have got this work, you know. So I played, and 2 hours later, this thing was finished. Like who just told you, Benny and Bjorn, they didn't write music. So the last thing Bjorn said, "Don't forget to bring music papers when you come to the studio." What? I said, "Yeah, you need to bring." So I bring my paper, and I come to the studio, and we sit down with Benny, and he show me, "You play this." He show me at the piano, and I write it down, you know. And this is the second voice, and you write. I put it down on the paper, and at least maybe 1 or 2 hours later, the whole thing was done. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Okay?
takes?
Well, there was not too many. You did some overdubbing, some unison overdubbing. So every voice you hear is done a couple of times, you know. It makes the whole sound so big, you know. It sounds like we are 8 saxophone players.
Yeah.
It was only me.
Fantastic. And of course, if you hadn't picked up that phone, then you wouldn't have got the call to go out to Australia on tour, would you?
I wouldn't stand here today and be on this tour. So after a couple of years later, 1977, I had another call from Benny, and he said, "We're going to Australia, Europe and Australia this spring. Are you willing to come with us?" Of course, I said, I'm happy to do it. I mean, this was not another recording I was doing. It was with ABBA, so I was really excited about it. And as you know, already know, Buddy just told you, and you all know it, in 1974, when ABBA won in Brighton, the Eurovision Song Contest. So a year later, I did this Do I Do? And I did some more recordings, like Voulez-Vous, and I did some Ring Ring and Man in the Middle, a few others. And then we went on tour in 1977. Europe, we visited Holland, of course, England, Germany, and we went back home for a couple of weeks, and then we back to Australia, which was a quite amazing story. It was very, very popular in Australia. The first 2 concerts we had in a big football stadium, and it was 52,000 people on every concert. And it was more or less like a shock for us. Nobody could expect that kind of reception from the Australian audience. So that was the big thing for us. Really happy to have been part of that, you know.
Because I heard it wasn't only Frida that slipped in Australia. I heard you slipped as well, is that correct?
Me? In Australia? No, not at that time. Just today.
But it must have been a wonderful experience, you know, when you played to like sort of 40,000, 50,000 people.
That was fantastic.
And of course the mayhem and everything that sort of surrounded the Australia concept must have been incredible.
Yeah, it was something we really didn't expect it that big, you know. People were outside the hotel screaming in the night, wanted the autographs and all that. And when we were supposed to do this concert, you know, people were lining up on the sidewalk a week before we started the concert. They slept there. This line was growing and growing, bigger and bigger. For every day we went back to rehearsal and we saw this line of people. I said, "What is it? What are they doing here?" You know? Yeah, well, they wait for your concert, you know. And the opening night in Sydney was more or less a disaster because the weather was so terrible, you know. Most of you probably have seen ABBA the movie, and you can imagine the kind of weather we had. It was so hard. This rain was unbelievable, you know. There was even talk about that we should have to cancel the whole thing because of the danger of all the water on the stage, you know. People with the electric instrument, they could have this electric shock and really die from it. But we said, it's not going to be happening because the people will be so unhappy about if we cancel this, we have to do it anyway. So Ulf Andersson, you know, the promoter, he was laying on the floor and wiping up the water, you know, and everybody was doing hard work to make this possible for us to do this concert. You know.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
And you had a shark incident hit out there, I hear, as well.
It could be another shark, yes, right. Yeah. So I was very happy about doing this first recording, I Do, because it means that I was more or less the ABBA saxophone player for the next recordings and the tour. And I could, in my wildest dreams, I could never imagine that I should come back like 35 years later, coming here and playing this for you. And nowadays, touring with this music, there is ABBA the show. I'm sure some people of you have seen us.
Great production.
Thank you. Every year we make a long European tour. We also did this January. We played in Amsterdam, we played in Germany, we played in 10 different countries actually in about 3 weeks' time. So it's a new city every day. And it's quite successful, and we play in big venues, sport venues, also in Germany. There could be 10,000–15,000 people coming, which means this music is I don't know, it's growing somehow. We are planning a new tour for the next year, so buy your tickets. And actually we are going all over the world with the ABBA show. We have played a lot in the US, North America, South America, Africa, Asia, you know, India, Japan, Philippines. We're going to China this year in December. So it seems like ABBA music is surviving.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like new markets that are opening up worldwide, and you know, a lot of us have lived and breathed this music for so many years, and it still sounds as fresh as ever. It's incredible, isn't it, how it's lasted, and it will continue to last as well.
Yeah,
it's the most important thing.
I would like to tell you a little bit how to go on tour in Europe in January. These big venues are really not made for music, you know. They are made for ice hockey and things like that. And behind the stage, it could be ice cold, you know, like 5–10 degrees warm, you know. And when I come up there, I do some entrance, I come and go. And when I come back and I'm supposed to go on the stage and play, this instrument could be so cold, it's just impossible. You know, what happens when a cold instrument, when it's getting cold, it's getting out of tune. It's going very flat, you know, the pitch is going down. So if you don't warm it up before you go on stage, it's going to sound horrible. People will know what's this, you know. So what I have to do is warming it up somehow, you know. So the easiest way is just to put a lot of air in it, you know. I don't collect paper and put fire on it because it should be a little bit dangerous, you know. Anyway, so. And you also have to warm up your fingers, you know, you're freezing, it's cold, you know, like you have this kind of problems to get on the stage and really get into the music. And out there is warm and nice, you know, a lot of spots put light and put a lot of heat on the stage, you know, and all the people out there are really excited about the things happening. So before I go on the stage, I have to warm up myself, my mind, my instrument, and so on. Then Katja used to sing this song just before I go on the stage. See, it's cool. That's what I'm going to do. I play a little bit along with the music that's going on the stage. But I'm backstage now. You're not supposed to hear this because I'm backstage now. I play all your cards, and that's what you've done too. Nothing more to say. No race to play. I hope you understand this is not the way I should ever play it in front of an audience. This is just how to warm up myself and the instrument. And of course I am a jazz musician, So this was a little bit too jazzy to be for an ABBA song. But anyway, this is how, now I get ready to go on stage and play. Now the instrument is warm, I feel warm, I feel up, you know, to be on the right level. So, that's one of the problems that could occur to you when you're on a cold backstage stage in a big venue in Germany or wherever.
Well, I can clearly see that you've got such a passion in the way that you play. I think all I could play probably was a recorder, and I really envy the fact that you've got this wonderful instrument here. You know, can you play? How many instruments can you play?
Well, it's mostly when it's different saxophones, you know, and that's normal for a freelance sax musician. You should play at least the soprano sax, alto sax, tenor sax, maybe baritone, you know, the whole family of saxophones, and also the flutes, which I also do with the show. I play the piccolo and the normal C flute, and also clarinet. Because when you go in the studio situation or big band situation, you often see that change to flute, you know, in the part you can change to clarinet. Okay, then you need to know these instruments too. So to be able to work in these circumstances, you need to know this instrument. I play a little bit piano just for arranging and composing and so on. Yeah.
So just bring us up to date then, we're 2011, just outside of ABBA the show. Are you working on any other projects?
Oh yeah. I do a lot of jazz music still, you know. I have a small group with my son who's a bass player. And different groups. I mean, that's the way the freelance situation is. You're not playing in just one group. You go with different projects and different all the time. And being a studio musician means that you also have to deal with a lot of different kind of music. You're supposed to know anything, you know. And I had this background playing since I was 9 years old, playing in the school band. It means you play march music, waltz music, tangos, whatever. So that was a good start, good background. I start and learn how to read music. I could write something and so on, and arrange. I also been working as a teacher for a long time in the Royal Academy of Music in Stockholm. So that's the way to go on and learn something more about the whole thing.
Absolutely. Well, it's just been a pleasure to have you here this afternoon, and especially the fact that, you know, you have played such an important part to the story of ABBA. You know, whenever I hear I do that start there, you know, I shall have fond memories of Rosendale 2011. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you again.